Like everybody here has been able to get onto Rstudio cloud. I don't know about you guys, but I have found this tremendously easy on my end. I just think I think this is like the way to go. the I actually can increase the number. Turns out the university won't pay for this. And we would be limited to 5 people to use the cloud. So like I would start a workspace and then we would be limited to 5 people. I requested an increase in student number and they said, sure, you could have up to 20 students, but you're still limited to 3 to 5 projects. So basically we would only be able to do a couple of exercises before we would have to go back and delete things, and then so we would lose everything. So for the paltry sum of $15 a month, I can have unlimited number of students, unlimited number of projects, and I think up to 10 workspaces. So you guys are worth at least $15 a month to me. So there you go. So yeah, well, kind of. So so bottom line is I upgraded the Rstudio cloud. It also increased the amount of memory that we have for both storage and projects, which may have use as we move along. So let me just go ahead and share to the cloud.
Are we abandoning the PBWorks then?
I don't know what to do with PBWorks at this point in time. It's a really good question. In fact, I submitted a suggestion to the Rstudio cloud folks. Is we need like some way to do announcements, or like if I wanted to post videos or whatever, and it doesn't give us an opportunity to do that. So the question is, should we continue with PBWorks, or should I just copy everything in PBWorks over to Blackboard? And that way there's a way to, which I can do. It's really not that hard. I don't know. I just had not gotten to the point where I made a decision. I don't know if any of you guys have any thoughts. I'm open to suggestion.
Makes no difference to me, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, a website's a website, although Blackboard at least is kind of something you're used to with other classes. That would be my only, I don't know. I really don't have I really don't have a real strong feeling either way, and haven't thought all the way through it yet. I don't know. I'll think about it and make a decision before Thursday. How's that? How's that? But I figure everybody at this point, although I hate to say it, not you guys, because you're all here, this is like one of those things where you send out an email and say, if you don't receive this, please answer. You know, it's kind of the same thing. There are at least 3 students who have not logged on to PBWorks yet, and as shocking as this may be, they have also not logged on to Rstudio cloud either. And we'll just see if they, you know, if you're listening or watching, and we don't know it, we'll see if they're going to stay in the course, because at this point in time, I think we're really ready to do some stuff. A couple of things I did notice. I hope that, let's see, share my screen here. I think that's it. There we go. I am just not all that thrilled with my 2 screens set up here, but that's okay. Just give me a moment to set things up. There we go. That's not too bad. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so remember my RStudio is on the screen to the left. So if I'm looking over here, I'm watching RStudio. You guys are right here. So if I'm looking this way, that's where my camera, etc., is. And I also can see your guys' spots here. So I am absolutely thrilled with this. I will be continually updating the systems-based project. The systems-based project will assure that we have all the packages available to us as we begin each new project. The one thing that I did notice is a couple people, you know, and I'm not going to call anybody out, that there's no sense in that, but I'll show you mine. So you can see that my entry that says assignment means it's an assignment that I created. So this is where you would begin at, as you click on this, and as all of you have done, you've set up your word clouds, you're ready to roll. Now, and of course here, you can see my name appears twice. The GFB1 name is my name as administrator, which if you look in the upper right-hand corner, you can see that's how I'm logged in now. And if I were to click on, I'm just going to click on my word clouds. So this is actually my contribution to the assignment. And I want to go over a couple of things that I saw a few people had some difficulty with. And I'm not sure if, yeah, I guess a couple of people perhaps are here. So when this begins here, the one thing I do want to point out to you is one of the first places you should go when you first start. Very often, the upper left script area is blank, okay? Now, you could certainly go through and utilize the terminal because at least in the case of the word cloud and in the case of the lower the curve exercise, which we will get back to and jump on Thursday, you could just start typing commands in here and go because you have those commands listed. After our lower the curve exercise, which again, we'll get to that on Thursday, basically you're going to have to load the script file. The way you do that is in the lower right-hand quadrant, you'll see all the tabs up top. Right now I'm showing you the plot. So this is basically, I am looking, if you look in the upper left-hand, it says Systems BIOL Workspaces, Word Clouds, and it's got my name. So I can actually go in here, jump into your Word Cloud folder. Oops, and I accidentally clicked the thing when I turned my head. Sorry. Go back to this. Shouldn't take long. There we go. So I can actually see your word clouds. All right. Now, when you begin a new project, remember, you want to start with files. Okay. And in your files, you will see wordcloud.rmd. And that RMD file is the script. It is the it's R, the MD stands for markdown, so it is the R markdown. It is the actual script that will populate the upper left-hand area. And I'm going to put all of the scripts that we're going to be using in this upper left-hand area. Note that it's going to be, it'll have a title, obviously an author. It shows you the document, which can be output as HTML. And notice there is an HTML version here. If you wanted to see it in HTML, you can view it. I'm going to go ahead and view it in the web browser. And basically, you can see that because this was my first one I did, I had all the spacing wrong, all the incorrect fonts, and it includes even a sample plot that has nothing to do with the word cloud. So it was my first one. Pay no attention to what it says in terms of the HTML document. However, what you should do when you begin is to look for the markdown script, and that's here. And the markdown script, if you want to save a local copy, you can right-click on it. This is just like using any of the file explorers. You can look in here, you can download it, you could save it, you could do all sorts of whatever you want to do with it. However, if you double-click on it, or actually just click on it once, because it is underlined, so it's a link. So all you have to do is left-click. It will populate the upper left-hand text editor that we have here. Okay, so I think I can just go ahead and click it. You basically don't see anything happen because it was already loaded in my, well, let's see if I close that. And now I can open the Wordcloud script, then you'll see it just includes that script. So now we've got the markdown script. Now everybody should be at the point, and if you're not, get there quick, because we're not going to have an entire hour and a half here. You should be able to follow through all of the commands and get to the point where you can get the plot. Most of you did. I think one or two of you did not quite get to this point. So most of you did. And the advantage here is that the file that we're loading, which we'll talk about this in just a minute, this note in the upper left-hand portion, this sets us up with a text file. Note that the Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech.txt, it is already a text file. So we're to the point now where we can do a bunch of different things. Part of what I would very much like you to do, again, to have this done by Thursday, because I want to get to the next project quickly, is to go back and to get your resume word cloud done. Okay? I know some of you have already done it, and if you've already done it, that's cool, no problem, but some of the tips that we can talk about may have value. What I want to get you used to doing is actually looking at the word cloud. Now, one of the things, if you just take a quick look here, is there are a handful of words that you can see that aren't spelled properly. So the easiest one to find, of course, here is little. It's L-I-T-T-L, and there's no E. What that probably means is that I incorrectly spaced some of the text. And in fact, I know that I did not remove, when I go through, if I were to look at all of my commands on the lower left-hand quadrant, I did not remove all of the spots that I thought I should, okay? Now, notice what I did in here. I did remove some of them. So, for example, here is a path where I went back and noticed that some of the words that were misspelled, I went back to my original docs file, and you don't have to redo everything. I'm just taking the docs file and I'm removing words that appeared in my table. So here, of course, when I first use that head command, which gives me the top 10 words in the matrix, it gives me the words, and then I look at them and I thought, do I really want those words in my word cloud? And so, right or wrong, you know, whether these are words, these are the words that I chose, I really don't want in my word cloud. I don't want the word, I'm okay with the word will. I'm okay with the word freedom. Do I want the word ring in there? I decided no. You might decide otherwise. Do I want the word day? I think the day doesn't add anything to the conversation. Let's see, sorry, I'm just seeing that there are some chats in here. Good, cool. I'm going to put this over here. There we go. Oh, I didn't see. Okay, so we're going to get to the text file in just a second. Just a second. Right now, we're just saying we can edit this. So I include things. Obviously, here's the word every. Able is misspelled. So I got rid of all of those. You could go back one more time and say, okay, the word little is misspelled. Struggle. There are a handful of things that you may want to remove as well. The point is, the editing of the text is as important to the final product as the coding itself. Okay, it is as important. Ultimately, then, we have the Wordcloud command itself, and notice something that happens here is that we actually set, so when we look at the Wordcloud, we want the words set, and again, this D with the $ keyword is the word that occurs in the second column of our matrix. Remember, in this case, we only wanted to look at the top 10. We could actually make this whatever you want. You can make this the top 20 words. You can make it the top 100 words, depending on how much emphasis you want to put on scanning your document. The frequency is given a numerical value. The minimum frequency is 1, so a word that occurs just once. You could make this minimum frequency whatever you want. You could make the word cloud, and just for grins and giggles, it's not going to let me do this. Let me do it this way. So this is basically how you could get at it. You can take and copy that up there. So I'm just copying the commands. You could do the same thing here. So here we see the command structure. So those ones are really like, I got all these words that are ones. Let's make the least number of words 3. And again, we can hit the enter key. And of course, look what happens. It distills our word cloud down significantly. Is that better? Is it worse? I don't know. It's up to you. It's what do you want to communicate with the word cloud? So this is one way you can do it. Now, something else we can fool around with, and this is really kind of fun here. Give me one sec. I want to find my command structure here because I always forget it. There we go. Don't panic, don't panic, Brewer Pal. And this is another reason why we need to do something either in Blackboard or PBWorks. I want to give this to you just so you have it. This is really kind of a fun thing. One of the ways that we notice what we have down here is we're using Color Brewer. Remember that program that we installed the package up front in order to make the word clouds work. We used something called Color Brewer. Well, notice the command in that final line in the console. So colors equal Brewer Pal 8 dark 2. So what that is defining is the palette of colors that we're using in the right-hand side, meaning in our plot for the word cloud. Now, I'm going to put in here the command showing all of the possibilities that exist for the word cloud. And look at what we get. I'm going to expand this a little bit. So Here is the entire list of potential palettes that are preloaded in Color Brewer for us to use. And if you look in the middle, it's the second from the bottom in the second group of colors. You see dark 2. Okay, you see dark 2. But if you didn't like dark 2, you may want to change this to one of the others. I don't know what looks good to you. You can pick whatever one you like. How about set 1? That looks like it has all bright colors. So I'm going to change that to set 1. I'm going to hit enter. And lo and behold, look what happens. I get a completely different color set. You can pick whatever ones you like. You can pick whatever ones you like. If you want, here's the list of colors. You may, I don't know, whatever ones, if you care for them. If you don't care for them, you could go to, I don't know, you can make them all grays if you wanted to. So for our set, we're just going to make them all grays. And it just gives you gradations of grades, with the darkest color being obviously the word with the highest frequency and the lightest color being the word with the least frequency. So this gives us an opportunity to really manipulate the look, and how simple it is to be able to manipulate how our word cloud appears. What do we want it to look like? How are we going to use it? So pretty easy. These are just some simple things. And of course, I do have all of the, I have this handout, which I've got, which is a great little cheat sheet for color. You can just jump right into this. One of the reasons I like this cheat sheet is you can go in here and just in this top right hand portion, you could actually see all of the pre-installed color patterns that you can choose, but it also gives you information to use an online tool to create your own palettes. So let's say instead of grays or oranges, you wanted to make your own palette with different complementary colors. You could actually go on to this online tool. If you were interested enough, you could code them yourselves by understanding the hexadecimal coding for colors. This kind of coding system is used very, very frequently in HTML code as well. So it's not just simply for R or Python or any of our other kind of systems, but is used for all sorts of presentation. But there's also an online tool, and there's a link for this as well. The link is up here, colorbrewer2.org. And you could create your own palettes. And this is crazy. You can kind of see this is the series of all possible palettes in R. So these are all the different colors that you can make if you were so inclined. Again, not asking you to do all this, just want you to be able to see what they are and see what the codes are in case the point comes where you were interested in doing it. I find some of the really interesting ones are the rainbow colored ones, I think, and in fact, you could see this one down here. You go from basically it's our entire color of rainbow in order of size of the wave itself, and it's creatively titled rainbow, so you could use that as well. And you could use here are all the R Color Brewer palettes that we just showed you in the plot section. So this is really kind of a cool resource. I love these cheat sheets. For those of you who are already in our class, have been working with Rstudio.cloud, may have noticed that underneath the primers where you were supposed to work through the simple primers of all the commands that can be used in R, and in particular Rstudio, below it is a link called cheat sheets. And while it does not have the color cheat sheet, it does have a whole load of cheat sheets for all sorts of different purposes. And these are really handy to have. So if you're working on an R project and you, for example, are interested in plotting and you want to learn about plots, it's really handy to have the data visualization. I don't know why it's not in my browser. So I'm just going to share my other screen. Hold on. Oh, wait, it may have showed up. Don't panic. There we go. So if you're interested in plotting with Ggplot, which was one of the steps in the primer, you actually have all of the commands along with graphical representations of what happens when you use your data in a particular plot type. And so you can kind of page through this. You have probably seen, if you've been following the news and looking at the amount and incidence of COVID infections, COVID hospitalizations, and COVID deaths. One of the things that is very commonly seen online are the projections. And the projections have a solid line surrounded by a gray area that shows you basically plus or minus a 1 or 2 standard deviations. So the uncertainty or the error in the nonlinear regression that they've done to predict infections, hospitalizations, etc. And if you notice if you look under the 2 variable column in the middle, you'll notice 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. I'll see if I can highlight this for you. You can see exactly the command that they use to create these graphs. And I can tell you that the folks who are building these models are using R. They may or may not be using Rstudio. Some of them just work from the console and know all this. I really like using Rstudio because unless you're doing this on a daily basis, I don't know how in the world you get to remember the commands all the time. But so these cheat sheets are really, really helpful, enable you to do all sorts of different things. Look in the lower right-hand part of this cheat sheet, does this look familiar in terms of a map? You've probably seen these maps online or on the news where people are showing maps with incidences of COVID infection, could be voting, could be anything. You've seen these maps. Where do they get them? What are they using to create these maps? Well, guess what? They don't hire artists anymore. They hire somebody who's fluent in R, and this is the command that they use to do it. So really a very powerful, I think, tool, and that's part of what I want to emphasize here, is the power of the tool that we can use to visualize. And thank God, next week, we will jump into biological data as opposed to just dealing with word data or kind of pre-packed stuff. So we will absolutely get there now that we have access to, everybody has access to Rstudio. Now, coming back to Rstudio here, one of the problems that we have is actually importing documents into R. And I've spent quite a bit of time over the last 2 weeks invested in trying to find a simple way to import a docx file, so a Word document, into R. And I can tell you that there are a number of things we could do, but they are all horrible solutions. There are ways to do it. There are a handful of packages that you can install. One of them is called Reader. It's just the word read with the letter R. Another one is Text Reader. And what they basically do is they unpack, remember that a docx file, in fact, any of the X files, are XML files, as we've talked 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe. And those files are essentially zipped files containing both a directory structure and 3 separate files containing all of the formatting information for the text. So in order for R, or any program, this includes Python by the way, to read a docx file or an XLX file, what they have to do is they have to unzip the file, which is what we did a few weeks ago, unzip the file, and then sift through with a series of commands all of the different directories, the formatting directories, as well as the information or content directories, to tease out the information from there. And because in their infinite wisdom, Microsoft XML contains some sets of commands that are different from open source XML commands. And they make it very, very difficult to unpack into text that can be analyzed. And they do it on purpose. They do it on purpose. So either of the 2 solutions, Reader or Text Reader, theoretically have the ability to read a docx file or an XLX file and convert them either into text or a comma-separated value file, CSV file. They don't do so without problems, and they require constant backup. So my suggestion, unfortunately, for our purposes, is to do your resume file, is if it's already in Word, to take it, save it as a text file, use your save as command, create a text file. Name it whatever you want. Call it, mine always is GFB underline resume. I always use an underline. I rarely use spaces in my file names and or directories because spaces create problems when you switch operating systems. They always create problems when you switch operating systems. So you want to make sure that you don't cause confusion by using the wrong characters. That's really what it boils down to. Once you have a text file, and in order to do this, I'm just going to open up a document. So I'm going to stop my share. I'm just going to demonstrate this so everybody can see it. I'm going to go to my documents folder. And in fact, I'm not going to share this part. I'm just going to find the document and upload it. Let me find the docx file. Oh, hell, I'll just do my resume since that's about as easy as anything. Want a recent one? Oh, this looks like it's about a year old. So let me share I just opened my resume. Here I am. This is pretty much a classic academic resume. You can see that's me, my current position, my emails, all the different places I've been, and then, of course, all of my publications. And in fact, I think this is my full resume. Yeah, so this has all of my publications up until 2018, 2019. I think I got 2019. And then, of course, it does have my patents, talks, nonsense. So this is kind of a classic academic resume. This is the kind of thing you'd put together if you were going up for tenure. Not quite that complete, but here we go. So in Word, since most of us are using Word, what you want to do is go to File, Save As. I am going to leave it in my Dropbox, okay? And notice all the underlines. I don't like to leave spaces, only I am going to save it as a plain text file. I saved the plain text file. I must have done it already. Going to replace the name. And then I get all sorts of great questions. So it says, what do I want to do? It's going to cause all formatting, pictures, and objects to be lost. What do I want to use? Windows is fine. And I'm just going to say, okay. Because all I care about is the text. Do you want to continue? Yes. There we go. Now I'm done. So I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to look. I'm just making sure I got the right screens here. Here is, if we look into, I'm just going to sort by date modified. And notice at the very top of my file list is, in fact, GFB full resume. And again, this was from last year, so it's about a year and a half off. Well, a year and 3 or 4 months. I'm going to go up to the copy path segment in Windows. You can do the same thing in Macs. You can right-click on it, look at the properties, and then copy the properties. I can do that here as well. Notice down here, I can look at properties, and of course, it tells me where it's located. I can copy this right here, or I can just go to the copy path statement in my toolbar, and I'm going to copy the path. Now that I've done that, I'm going to stop the share, and I'm going to go back to our, sorry, I got to look, there we go. Back to our Rstudio.cloud. Now, if you recall, our command, and if you forget the command, you can look through the R script. Notice we've got the file path command, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back down here to the console, and I'm going to type file path, and notice it knows exactly what I'm asking for. File path. Remember that the arrow, the left-handed arrow is basically what you're creating. When you make a less than sign and a dash, it creates that the word file path with a capital P will always refer to, and you open a quote, and in this case, I'm going to paste the location that I just copied. Okay, notice that thanks to Microsoft, I have too many sets of quotes here. Okay, so what I actually want to do is edit that line. So I only have one set of quotes. Now, in any normal world, you would think this would be sufficient. However, watch what happens when I hit enter. Uh-oh. Something's screwy. And if you read it, it says there's a problem with /u. And it turns out that the easiest way to deal with this, if you have a Windows path that begins with the definition of your hard drive, okay? So this is on my C: hard drive. The simplest way to deal with this is to put 2 slashes in front of each symbol. All I did was use the up arrow to repeat the previous command, hit enter, and there you go. There are a couple of other ways to do this depending upon your file type, depending on your operating system. I will show you another possibility. So here, for example, I'm going to show you a file path. And notice I can just keep doing this over and over again. I'm not doing anything.
Hey, Dr. Barbato.
Yeah.
Are we going to be doing our resume in the same Wordcloud spot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just use the same thing because this is all set up already with the packages. So as opposed to starting another one, you know, this is...
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, just to get us all on the same page here. So now we want to put in, but I'm going to show you a different file path. Make sure I have the correct thing here. There we go. This is a file path, and it's unfortunately a docx file. Let's see, I'm going to change that kind of quickly. I don't remember if I made it into a text file. Give me 2 shakes here. I can't see if I have a chat. If anybody's chatting, I can't read it. Hang on, there we go. Okay, never mind. Abstract, there it is. I'm gonna quickly turn this into a text file. It'll just take a second. How fast can you click? Microsoft has stopped working. Well, I don't know. Might have worked, might not. Nope, didn't work. All right, forget it. The point will still work. It's just got a text file here. It's got a docx file. But the point is, notice the slashes that exist here. Now, the reason for this is from my university computer, and it's using my documents directory in the university computer, which is located actually on a university server and not located on my desktop. So if you log on to and are working from a dorm computer, if you're working from a computer lab computer, you log on using your Stockton user ID. Any computer you log on to using your Stockton user ID will have this kind of a file path. It's got the 2 slashes, which are indicative that it's the root directory. The root directory is a Stockton server. The root and home, again, are just where all of, in my case, the faculty home directories are identified. And it's in the My Documents. So if I were to do this, now watch what happens. And it's going to be very different. And some of you may have encountered this problem who are working from computer labs. If I hit enter, notice what happens. I get an error saying /H is unrecognized. /H. So I'm going to use my up arrow key here to get back to that command. Now let's look, where is there a /H? So you look through your command. Well, guess what? It's here at home. So it had no problem with the /stockton.edu, had no problem with /root, but it has a problem with /H. So what you have to do in this case is actually add your slashes in from home. And of course, if I do home, guess what? You can predict what's going to happen. Okay, I added an extra slash to home. So if I hit enter, what do you think's going to happen? Go ahead and guess. Somebody. What do you think will happen?
It'll work.
You think it'll work? Fair enough.
Probably not, because the rest of them are double slashed, though.
Yes. So look, now all of a sudden the /m is wrong. So what I got to do is go back in, /home is okay. I got to keep going. We got to keep adding these things, /m. Basically, just keep adding all your slashes, hit enter, and now it's there. So why do you need all of those double slashes in one part of the file path, but not in the other? And the answer, as you may predict, is that the stockton.edu/root directory is on a Unix machine. And in Unix speak, all you need is a single slash. Why does it all of a sudden change to a double slash? And the answer is everything from the home directory all the way down are now in Windows subdirectories because we use an Exchange server to distribute information at Stockton. And so when you see this, so you have this funny thing where part of the file path conforms to Unix and part of it conforms to Windows standard. Now, if you're on a Mac, your Mac address will look something very much like this because Macs are based on Unix code. The graphic part of Macs is not Unix, but everything underlying the operating system is based on Unix. For example, a file system. So this is part of what creates a big problem as we shift around with different kinds of different operating systems, different computers, different everything. This is part of the issue. I do think at some point in time, I don't know if any of you noticed when you upgraded to Windows 10, Windows 10 actually comes with a Linux kernel in it, meaning it has the central code for running Unix. And you could actually run Linux on your Windows machine, which is the first time ever that Microsoft has allowed this. So I think eventually all of the operating systems are basically going to be Unix based. They're not going to be all these problems. Probably still going to take about 10 years, but it's probably going to happen. Okay, so where you need to get to when you're loading your file path, I'm going to go back to enter my full resume text. I'm going to go back ahead. We are going to turn it into an analyzable text file. Oh, and it's getting cranky. Oops.
I got the same error.
Yeah. Error in file, cannot open the connection, blah, 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 blah. One thing, let me check. In file warning message. That's a new one on me. Give me 1 second, a fairly easy thing to do. Generally, it's a pretty easy thing to double check your error. Let's check with fixing.
Quoted, unfortunately, fixing this error is not easy.
Yeah, it's always well, because you got to find the problem. A fairly easy way to do this. Unfortunately, I don't use my desktop computer to work these things out. I do it all on my laptop. Just for grins and giggles, give me a second. So on yours, Bill, is it a,
Same exact error.
what's your file path?
Well, I tried to go through my original C users and then to my, I have it stored on my OneDrive, and then I thought maybe OneDrive was messing with it. So then I saved it directly to my desktop. Still as a text document, I get the same exact error. So I tried moving the file path around, but
To local disk.
Yeah, to no avail.
Is anybody else having that?
Yes, same thing.
Same thing, Dan?
I mean, I can try taking off my C drive and putting on something else, but I'm pretty confident it's going to do the same thing.
No. Something else is going on. All right, let me contact Rstudio.cloud, folks. Their support is pretty good. Let me check with them, and I'll get back to you as soon as they get back to me. I'm just thinking. Give me a minute. It takes me. Can't open file. All right, give me 1 second. So just for, I want to make this smaller. How do I do this? There we go. Let's do, let's just try. Sorry about that. Why didn't you guys catch that? Ew. All right. So what we need to do, apparently in the cloud, is to, so let's do this. Upload. Oh. So if that's going to be our working directory, let's try I may need one extra command, but hang on a moment. Yeah, still get the same thing. I think it's got to do with the working directory, but I'll track down the correct command. But if I were a betting man, and on occasion, I'm fairly certain it has to do with loading it in the project subdirectory here, and probably have to upload the text file here and then manipulate it in the console. All right. Well, if you're not having trouble with this, then go ahead and get your resume imported in and go ahead and start building your word cloud. You know, be prepared to edit the text. I mean, I think that's really what it comes down to. And we're going to see this as we proceed to some of the biological databases as well, is you've got to be prepared to edit the data. Trust me, it is the least amount of fun that there is putting together databases and editing them to make sure that the information is correct. Excuse me. I was just working on a database for a company, and there were 1.2 million data points. And someone entered, now these are, I know this will excite you no end, these are body weights of chickens. And the body weights of chickens are about, in this particular case, they were about 5.5 pounds on average over about just under 1.25 million birds that they actually went in and weighed at a particular age over a period of time. And somebody forgot a decimal point. So one data point, instead of being 5. I don't remember the number, but let's say 5.21, instead of being 5.21 was 521. And so, of course, it threw off the entire analysis, and we had to go back and figure out where it was, which database had it, and how to correct it. And it took about a day. Running the analysis took about maybe 20 milliseconds. It was just like hit the button. But sifting through all of the data to correct it, to make sure that you corrected that particular item and not change anything else, was a major issue. So that's the not fun part of all this. But we'll get there. If you are having problems, getting your file loaded in this manner, I'll let you know as soon as I get back from, hear back from the Rstudio folks.
All right, are you going to email it to us, or are you going to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And as soon as I hear back, in fact, I'm going to chat. I'll set up. They have a chat function for support, which now that they're soaking me for $15, a month, like they ought to at least answer a chat message very way now and again. So anyway, so we'll do it. So we'll go for there, and then on Thursday, I'll have everything set up so we could do the COVID curvilinear analysis, which actually does work, and I'll get it uploaded, and we'll be there for on Thursday to roll. So, always exciting. Enjoy the weather. Tomorrow's going to be beautiful.